Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Destiny 2. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and salutations. Today, Guardian Games. Let's get to it. The Guardian games are now available, and they will be available for 3 weeks. Now, during this time, we have a lot of time to go through this, and how do you start off? So start off, you're going to go into the tower. Once you get to the tower, you're going to talk to Eva Levante, and she is right in the middle there next to the podium. She'll give you a quest to complete, and what you're going to do is after you talk to her, even though she does have some items for sale, some class items, instead of grabbing one of those, go talk to Zavala. Now, although Eva has the class items available, you can get one from Zavala for free. So if there is a separate element that you want, you can buy them from Eva. So if you want the solar one, go ahead and grab that one from Zavala. If you need one of the other ones, then you can always go back to Eva and get one of those from her. Since there is elemental affinity with the mods, that is of course important, but they all start at energy level 1, so you'll have to upgrade it. And the thing is during these Guardian games, you're basically going to be wearing that class item all the time for the next 3 weeks. So if there is a particular elemental affinity that you like or that you use more often, then obviously you're going to want to use that. Once you're done talking to Zavala, you're going to go back to Eva and talk to her. She is going to give you an additional quest to work on where you have to go talk to the Drifter. So, of course, either walk or fast travel over to the Drifter to get that taken care of. When you talk to the Drifter, he will give you a medal, and that will get you to your next step. Now, talking to other vendors in the tower will also show that they have something to say about the games. So, Shax, Banshee, etc. You talk to different people, they say certain things about the games. Now, once you talk to the Drifter, you're going to go back to the podium and go back to the flag that represents your class. So for the Titan, it's the lion. For the Warlock, it is the eagle, and then of course for the Hunter, it is the snake. Because the positioning may be a little bit tricky, you might have to move around a little bit or get a little bit closer. Once you get to the right spot, then you'll have a prompt to deposit the medal. Once you do that, then you'll get a piece of gear, either a weapon or armor, and talk to Eva, and then you're ready to begin the games in earnest. She'll give you the exotic quest for the Ghost Shell, and the Ghost Shell, you can choose any of the 3. You don't have to choose the one that corresponds to your class. So if you want the one with the lion, then you can obviously get that one. If you want the one with the eagle, you can get that one. If you want the one with the snake, you get the idea. Now, there are 2 sets of quests and bounties that Eva has. One of them are medals, and one are bounties. Now, she has 2 weekly bounties and then daily bounties. Some are rotator ones that you can pay a little bit more for, and others are regular daily ones. Now, the medal quests will have you going into specific activities in order to complete them. The bounties will have you using particular subclasses in order to complete them. Now, during the games, of course, I had already said that you're going to be wearing the class item all the time because, and this is key, the class item is the only way for you to generate laurels. Laurels are the little tetrahedrons that drop on the ground, and they'll have a little symbol above them that signifies the class that generated it and a different color, the blue, the yellow, or the red. So not only does the color match with the Hunter, Warlock, Titan, but also the symbol above it. And of course, you'll have to pick those up. Just like motes on the ground, you'll have to pick those up. They only last for a certain amount of time, just like weapon orbs. When you have a masterworked weapon and you generate an orb, those orbs only last a certain amount of time, and it is a shorter amount of time than, say, a super. Now, getting back to the task at hand, you're going to want to use that class item all the time during the Guardian games, and not only that, but in order to generate laurels, you need to use class abilities. So your ability melee, your grenade, and your super. Now, your grenade and your melee will create 1 orb for each enemy that you destroy. Your super will generate 2. So, of course, using your super will generate the most orbs, or the most tetrahedron, laurels, but of course, you don't get your super as often, so of course it is better to use your super in a room full of enemies versus an enemy here, an enemy there, and of course certain subclasses are going to be better at taking out a whole bunch of enemies at a time versus ones that can only take out a couple. And of course, it goes without saying, if you do not take out the enemy, you do not get the drop. So if you're wailing away with your super on a boss, the boss isn't going to drop anything unless you take him out with that super. So for the bounties, you can be doing anything. You can be in free roam, you can be in a lost sector, you can be in a strike or crucible, just so long as you're following those guidelines. And the medals, of course, you'll need to do specific activities. For today, it is strikes and crucible, and then of course, it'll change. Now, the ranking of the medals will determine the difficulty, or how long it takes in order for you to complete. The bronze ones are the easiest, and the gold ones are the most difficult or longest. Now, if you want to get that ghost shell quickly, the best thing to do, of course, is to either have a subclass or an exotic that will bring your abilities back, either your grenades or your melees. Specifically, super to a lesser extent. So if you're using something like the hunter with the arc strider subclass, use the combination blows where the dodge will bring back your melee ability, and then just go melee an enemy, take them out, dodge, rinse and repeat until you get all the laurels that you need, or until you get your super, and then find a room full of enemies and take those guys out. Additionally, if you're using Warlock or Titan, you of course can use the Monte Carlo, which will recharge your melee faster, or the Bad Juju, which will recharge your super faster. So depending on how you want to tackle this particular quest will determine what exotic you use. And of course, that doesn't preclude you from using an exotic armor piece that could also bump up your melee ability more quickly. Insurmountable Skullfort, of course, will bring your arc melee back much faster. Now, as a side note, although we do get a new class item and a couple things to chase after, specifically the ghost shell and of course the exotic machine gun, this really doesn't change how you play from week to week. You're still going to be doing strike playlists, you're going to be going into the crucible, more than likely you're going to be going into gambit, but you're going to be doing those things more often throughout the week in order to get those medals, at least until you get that weekly bounty completed. So once again, the year of the bounty marches on. And of course, while you're in the crucible and doing strikes or gambit, pick up those bounties so that you can get those weekly drops as well, the 8 bounties completion for each vendor. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.
There's a lot we can do. Come back soon.
Changing, Guardian, you must prepare and adapt.
Okay, just a second. Don't want to lose count.
The best cryptarchs dig and dig, and one day the garden blooms.
That can't be right. As far as I'm concerned, the consensus is still in charge, and that means we have a job.
She said she wanted to express herself.